And now it's time for Photo Booth Live Chat with John Young. Hey, this is John Young here with PBNTV, Photo Booth News TV. Thank you for watching tonight out on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you're watching. Thank you for being with me this evening. Tonight, we're going to be talking about getting the pricing figured out. If you're just getting started in photo booth business, there's a couple of different ways in which you can figure out your pricing for this. And for some of you, you've been here, done that, and you've got your pricing. This isn't for you. This is for those of you who are just starting out, thinking about getting into it, and I'm going to give you a method or a thought process. This isn't the only, this isn't the best. This is one that's going to get you to think about pricing your business as how a business should do that. So we're going to dive into that, and I want to get a couple of things up here. Make sure I've got everything cleared from behind. I've got multiple layers and such, so I want to make sure that you're not having to listen to weird stuff in the background while we're going. So I've got that. Okay, now we're good to go. So one of the things that we do sometimes when we are going to be pricing our business is we do something like this when we are going to go, is that we have our little thing here. Yeah, this is high. I actually have the registered version on a different computer and I don't have it on this one. But what we do is we basically take that dart and we're like, okay, we put a bunch of numbers on a board and we do that. So, or we do something like this where we have the numbers on a magic wheel and we spin it and we get to see, oh, I'm charging $600 for this event. For a lot of us in that service industry, this is our methodology of how we're going to come up to the price. Oh, I have a birthday party. How much does it cost? Well, just 1 second. For today, your rate is $700. You see what this can happen, and this happens a lot to us, where we really don't have a rationale of why we came up with the number that we're going to be using, and that's not a cool thing. So we're going to go and we're going to give you hopefully some thought process behind that on what it takes and such to be doing this. So just going to go here, and I want to get, there we are. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. So now what I've got, I went through and I wanted to do, put some things in there. There's expenses that are involved with your business. And this is one of those areas we're going to be kind of going over. I don't know if I have a better spot. I'm just going to be small in this particular video. These are some of the common expenses. Now, much of this is taken from the actual Schedule C. Schedule C? Yeah, I believe it is. Your tax forms. Because these are the things that you as a business can write off. These are expenses that a common business has. Now, with your photo booth business, this could be a second adding on to your photography business or your DJ business or your wedding decor business. That will change some of these numbers and such. So everyone's going to have different numbers in this, but the idea is these are numbers that are involved with running your business. And you need to take into account for those when it gets to be that time. I want to just, we want to start over. Okay, so I want to make sure that everything is flowing, everything is good, I see everything. Okay, that's perfect. This is what happens when you're doing live shows. Okay, so some of the things we've got for our building, we're going to either be leasing space, renting space. If you have a business and you're going to be doing a home office, there's some different things with that also that could be used. But ideally, with a business, you want to be able to lease or rent space, and that's where corporation stuff comes in. Your tax advisor is going to be able to walk you through a lot of this, but there are expenses involved with having a business and having a business location, whether it's in your house or not. So we're going to look at that. You're going to have some advertising and promotion costs. Advertising could be doing some things online, buying ads on Facebook, buying Google ads. It could be going and buying advertising on the radio. It could be doing wedding shows. There's a lot of different things with that. Buying hats, getting hats with your logo on it, whatever. The advertising and promotion expenses, marketing. could be an additional, some of those printed materials that could be used for marketing. It might be some of the brochures you're going to be using, website costs, online things. They have two different breakdowns of that on the tax forms talking about some of these things, and you're going to have to kind of figure out which goes there. Again, a tax person is going to help you the best when it comes to that. You're going to have cost of heat and light, or the heat and electricity and different things, especially if you're renting an office. You're going to have some additional costs with that. Telephone, if you're having internet in your office, if you have your cell phone for business, these things are all expenses that have to be coming up. There might be some printing and postage and what have you, insurance, professional fees, lawyers, if you have to have some lawyer to do some things every once in a while, your accountant to be able to handle your books and such, those are professional fees. Educational things like coming to see us in February in Las Vegas for the Photo Booth Expo, that's an educational expense. The trip, the food, the tickets, anything that's spent to basically support your trip there to learn is an educational expense and can be written off on your taxes for your business. Travel with cars, there's car standard deductions and different things with that. So we're just putting numbers in here in this next phase so we can have something to kind of judge, so we can cover the expenses of our business and we're not having to supplement that. Supplies and such, we've gone through that. So in the gear purchase, I went through and kind of with all of these and put some numbers together so we could have an idea of what those would look like. So we're going to bounce over here. There's some numbers here we don't need to look at quite yet. Okay. So the very right column of what you're seeing there is kind of the monthly allotment for setting up a budget for what these expenses are. So if we're going to rent space, and $200 a month is cheap. That could be storage, might be storage for a lot of you. Most places are going to be a lot more than that. I wanted to have a number in there. Your number is going to vary, and you basically go through and put these numbers in, and then the second column is the yearly, what that is for the year. So we went through rent. If we're going to allocate $200 a month for rent, my thought with that is that I have got a secondary business, so my photo booth business would basically cover half the rent for the month, and my other business covers the other half of the rent. That's kind of my thought with some of these expenses. Advertising and promotion, $150 a month. You can put $50 into Facebook ads a month easily and really get a great return on that. Maybe the other $100 a month is used to budget for a wedding show you're going to do. Marketing, website costs, website to have design and such can be really expensive. Hosting, if you get a decent hosting, not that it's expensive, but there's costs involved with that. Different plugins that you may need for your business. If you need some CRM type software, CRM, there's expenses with the web, internet and such. Electric and heat, $300 is what I allocated. Cell phone, here's another one. You may have it that your cell phone or your phones are being used for multiple businesses, and it can be broken down. I actually talked to one IRS agent person who goes and does the audits and such if you were being audited. And in her case, what she says is that she wants to go and she'll actually sit down, and if you have multiple businesses, that she will look at the phone bill as an example and calculate, okay, this phone bill is being used 70% for personal, 30% for business, or 70% personal, 20% for that business, and 20%, and that's the ratio in which you can break the things down. Not every person does things the same when it comes to that, so you got to find your accountant who's going to guide you through how they will represent you if you are audited. But just keep in mind that some of these costs can be distributed where there's going to be a personal part, there's going to be a part you can write off for business A, and a part you could write off for business B. Continuing down, printing, I threw just $30 in because there's not much printing that happens anymore. Insurance costs, you're going to have equipment insurance, you're going to have liability insurance, you probably have to have business vehicle insurance, so $1,200 a year for that. Professional fees, you probably are going to pay your accountant, $200 to do your books for the end of the year for their taxes, whatever. There's you entered the numbers in. Mileage, I figured 200 miles a month just to have a number in there of what that's going to look like. Travel expenses would be repairs on your vehicle. That's going to be, if there's anything that's going to be major above. Generally, mileage is covering oil changes, mild, that type of maintenance, and gas. So if there's things above that, that's where the travel expenses, where I put that in there. Travel expenses can be generally airfare and such is where that would be. But just for us and thinking in our businesses, I wanted it to be something that you guys are figuring your travel in your vehicle expenses here. Supplies. If each of your photo booth shows takes paper, there's going to be some props that are destroyed, what have you. I figured in this particular case that there's roughly about $150 worth of consumed items a month. It could be a scrapbook. It could be whatever. 150. I may be low. I may be high in your situation. Just so you can see there's numbers. And you'll see also I have there 11 per month. On the little scenario I'm going through, we're figuring you're booking 11 photo booth events per month. So that's going to be kind of a big thing. Gear, if you're going to be planning ahead for future gear purchases, if you're taking 5% of your costs and such. Some of these numbers are coming from the next page. That became $1,100 a month that's being allocated for new gear purchases, replacement gear. And then we have miscellaneous expenses just to throw something in there. These are just trying to get an idea of what the cost would be for expenses and such. So our total number here is roughly, our expenses for the month for our business is roughly $4,400 a month, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, I'm not looking for exact. I'm looking to give me kind of a general idea of what it's cost me to be in business and running my business each and every month. Once I have that number, now we're going to pop over, and it's going to take me it's going to be a little bit. I've got to pop over to the other one, and we'll reset. Now we're going to pop over and look at, we've got our expenses for the month. Now we're going to kind of break it down and actually figure out what each show costs us to produce and how much roughly we should be pricing these shows at. I went through and just did 4 categories. Now you guys are going to be able to do what fits you, and you're going to be able to put together the forms, and you'll do a much nicer job. I'm asking you to think about making sure your business is covering the expenses and you're not having to supplement that out of your family, additional money from your family to run your photo booth business. So in this case, I figured those events. There was weddings, school, corporate, and miscellaneous events. And let me just scroll over here. Right here is where I had the number of the events. We're going to do 4 weddings a month. We're going to do 1 school a month. And this is an average. So that means that for most of us, we have 9 months of school. Maybe 1 month we're going to do 2 school events. Maybe 1 month we're going to do 3. And then there's going to be some months we don't do any, averaging out to 12 a year. And then 4 corporate events a month we're averaging, and then 2 miscellaneous events, whatever those are. So basically I'm saying in this scenario that we're going to be anticipating being able to book our photo booth out 11 times a month. I wanted to go through and figure out the kind of time that's involved with it. So the hours of performance for each event. For weddings, there's going to be, let's say, 4 hours of performance, school, dance, 3 hours, corporate, 4, miscellaneous 4. I wanted to figure out how much time was involved across the board. Then we've got our hours to set up and tear down time, roughly an hour travel time with the shows, and an hour or the hours of the show prep. For weddings, maybe you have a couple of hours getting your graphics ready to go. Maybe with corporate, there's more design and there's more hours involved. I was throwing in some numbers to have them there. School dances, it might be just to click and say, okay, we're going to put their logo on the bottom and that's it. Whatever it is. That's what I was wanting to do, because I wanted to get over here, which you can see. Oh, I guess we're not quite there yet. The next row right there. This is what if we would take all of those hours that we added up from those first few columns, and we add that and have a pay rate of $40 an hour right here. That comes up with a labor. There was roughly 12 hours involved with a wedding. That would be a payment paying $360, and there's taxes and things involved with that too. So really, if you're paying them as employees, which in some states we're going to have to start doing because of California, that is going to be a different number. Again, these are just ballpark to get you thinking about this side of it. You're going to have 12 hours at $40. Excuse me. Not 12 hours. You're going to have 9 hours at $40 an hour. So you got $360. If you're doing the others, each one is the amount of times 40 hours. I went through and figured that we're going to have basically with the weddings, we're probably going to have one person. Maybe the corporate, you're going to have 2. The second person, you might be paying them only $20 an hour, so you don't have as much time into that. So there's the one that had extra staff time you have now for 2 people. Obviously, if you had a wedding, and you had a second person and you were paying them for their $20 for those hours of travel, performance, and setup. That's all I figured for that second person at $20 an hour. It's 8 hours roughly in that situation. So there was $160 there. So I took that number from the other side that we kind of came up with, and again, there's been some moving back and forth of numbers, but we said that on the other page that there was roughly let me go over here. The monthly expenses from the other page came up to run at $4,400. So I took that number, and we took it, there's 11 potential shows, and we divided those 11 shows, that 4,400, by those 11 shows, and we came up with this 403. And again, it's rounded up. Roughly, our expenses per show is $403 per show. That's what it costs us to produce a show without labor. Now we add the labor to it. And then we continue over here. Right here, this pink box right here is the break-even point if you add labor and the expenses for what it costs us to produce a show. So for a wedding, as an example, to do that show, it would cost us roughly $763. That school was $702. The corporate event, which is a little bit larger, a little more prep, was $1,043. And so you kind of see where we're going here. That's what the break-even point would be. Now, obviously, if your numbers in the beginning that we were looking at and your costs and such for rent and things were different, these are going to be different numbers. If you pay someone $50 an hour, these numbers will be different. The idea is you're compensating and figuring out where all these expenses and costs and all the money is going in and out, so you can price it intelligently. But that's not the end of it. That's our break-even point. If I'm the owner of the business, I want to make a profit off this, because why would I own a business that's breaking even? That's kind of stupid. Yes, at the beginning, it's not going to make much, but after 2-3 years, it should be making a profit. Otherwise, I should be doing something else. There's nothing worse than having a business and you're sitting there year 2 or 3 and you're thinking to yourself, if I could work at a fast food restaurant, and I could be working the fryers in a fast food restaurant, and I'd be making more money for my family than I am at what I'm doing right now. That happens a lot, and I don't want you guys to be that person. So that's why we're doing these things. So if the owner wants to make basically a 25% profit on that, the 25% profit in this particular case on the weddings would be roughly $191. So that would bump up our suggested event to about $950. Again, I'm kind of rounding things off a little bit. That would give us a profit of about $190 per show. If you continue on there, you can see the school is about the same thing there. It was a little bit shorter hour. So the idea is that you're going to be somewhere in that $900 to $1,000 in it. If you have more time and more people involved, it could be higher dollar, and that would give me my owner's profit. That would pay our labor fees, and it would cover the costs of being in business. The last area that I want you to kind of think about when it comes to these things is the value of the gear that's used for the show. Let's say your photo booth and your props or your backdrops and everything, if you come up with a $5,000 is what it costs you to purchase all of the things that are within the show. A common rule of thumb is in business is that if I have is in the mobile entertainment world is that if I have $5,000 worth of gear, that every month I should be getting about a 10% return on that gear. So that means that if I've got $5,000 of gear out there, that would put me at a roughly, I want to be making $500 above the cost for replacement of gear. And we bounce back to that other page. That's where I had that number. If I could bounce back to that one quickly. So right here, you'll see I've got $1,100 in our the gear purchase, $1,100 a month. I wanted to figure a little bit strong on that, closer to a 10% for that particular case. For some people, the 5% is the number. Some people go 10%. In this one, I did roughly, I did the 5%. What would 5% be of the number? And it would be $250. That we would want to have, and if we were just looking for 5% of a return on things for the month, how much additional should I add to the show of that? And that's where you see the very last column there. Where is it? Right there, where every show, in essence, to get that return would be about $62 of that would be for gear. just to give you an idea. I was kind of working through the numbers here, but the big idea I wanted to talk about though is that we need to know what our expenses are when it comes to putting things together for our business. We have all these little expenses, the hidden ones that we don't think about. The cell phone. I'm going to need a cell phone anyway. Yes, but your business should be helping to cover the cost of that cell phone. Again, think about the percentages. If that helps you, that I use it half time for my business, half time for personal, great. Then half of that bill should be paid from the business paying for it, and the other half could be paid out of your owner profits. If that, just so you're thinking and getting these expenses covered properly. Your vehicle, your business insurance, your business vehicle insurance, because that in most states you have to have. Those are all different things. So you can figure out what your monthly expenses are per show, and then you add your labor and different things, and then you can come up with that suggested rate for your business. Now, this is a little bit higher than what some of you might run into for costs. Again, as we go back to that first page, some of those expenses are a little higher than what you might, because you're able to do those across multiple. Some of you are looking at that; those numbers are way low. Do your own. Put together that little spreadsheet, add things up, figure things out, look at your checkbook. What am I spending on my business to run my business? Figure it out. Is your pricing lined up so you're going to be making money as this business, or is your pricing set so you're just going to be spinning your wheels? That's a big question, and sometimes it's a painful question to ask, because when we really start looking at it, it's like, oh my gosh, if I wouldn't be having my other job that puts money into this, I would be broke or out of business. We got to have those hard discussions sometimes with ourselves to figure out where we are and what we should be doing when it comes to pricing our business, whether it's photography, DJ, photo booth, whatever it is. Know the expenses, know your costs to produce a show, and then make your decisions and such wisely when it comes to going forward in your business. Anyway, that was just a quick look. I didn't want to go into making this an all-night video for you guys. Thank you for watching. We're coming up here, Photo Booth Expo, coming up February 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, Las Vegas at the South Point Casino. Go out to pbntv.com/tickets to find out more information. Photo Booth Expo is the main website, and you can get the ticket links there also. If everything is in the comments or the description section down below. Come out, join us in February. You're going to learn a lot about the industry. You're going to learn about your business. You're going to be able to meet some really great people, have some fun, and I'll be there to shake your hand and say hi, and thanks for watching. John Young with PBNTV and the Photo Booth Expo coming up here. Thanks for watching again. Have a good night.